Hi everyone, thanks for joining. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. As we turn the pages of Jamaica Magazine today, we'll continue to keep you informed with the latest updates on COVID-19. Plus, we will share other interesting features throughout the half hour. You don't want to miss any of it, so stay with us.
How would you want to be treated if you were diagnosed with COVID-19? Not like this.
Them will talk how I'm wicked and if it dead and they behave like I am the one that created the virus. All my friends as well that were positive, them going through even worse than what I'm going through. Persons are calling police on them as well.
Do not allow your fear of COVID-19 to rob you of your humanity. There is no need to shun or victimize persons with the disease or those on the front line.
To mistreat persons that do have it, it's not a good feeling. We don't cause this on ourselves.
We really need to cut the hate and work together as a country, as communities to overcome.
Let us be understanding with those affected and support each other. Be kind. End the stigma.
And now for some major stories inside our GOJ News Roundup segment.
A newly constructed $329 million maternal and neonatal high dependency unit has been officially opened at the St. Anne's Bay Hospital. The unit will provide advanced care for high-risk pregnant women and newborn babies and boasts isolation suites for mother and child.
It strengthens our capacity to respond in a way that builds on the achievements that we have had and secures and reinforces the resilience that we should be seeking as we face or confront the public health challenges in our population.
It is equipped with radiographic technology, digital computerized imaging systems, critical care ventilators, critical care beds, and patient monitoring devices. This was done as part of the European Union's $3 billion grant-funded program for the reduction of maternal and child mortality, PROMAC.
Pregnancy and childbirth are such an essential part of the existence of humanity that it is incumbent on governments and societies to ensure that every woman has a fair chance to have a healthy pregnancy and safe delivery, no matter where in the world they live or their social background.
3 others will open shortly at the Bustamante Hospital for Children, Victoria Jubilee Hospital, and Spanish Town Hospital.
It really came out of a need that was identified by the European Union in collaboration with our local stakeholders in public health, our planning agency, represented by the Planning Institute, for us as a people to continue the strong tradition that we have as a country in ensuring that maternal care, mother and child care, was a fundamental platform to the development prospects of our people and our country.
The Senate has approved the Fiscal Administration and Audit Suspension of Fiscal Target Requirements Order 2020. The Senate's approval on June 4 followed its passage in the House of Representatives on June 2. This allows for the suspension of Jamaica's fiscal rules until March 31, 2021. Suspension of the fiscal rules became necessary due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which resulted in critical expenditures and economic mitigating activities totaling $34 billion.
We must suspend the fiscal rules in order to respond to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The loss of revenue, together with the increased requirements for expenditure, mean that it will neither be possible, practical, nor desirable to achieve the level of fiscal savings that the fiscal rules would otherwise require.
The law provides for suspension of the fiscal rules under specified circumstances, such as a period of public disaster, severe economic contraction, public emergency, financial sector crisis, or health and other disasters. The suspension of the fiscal rules will allow the government to target a lower primary surplus of 3.5% of GDP this fiscal year, down from 5.4%. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says significant investment is being made to acquire modern technology and upgrade the physical infrastructure of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF. He was speaking while on a recent tour of police stations in the Area 4 Division.
What we're trying to do is to really modernize the police force infrastructure. So, the police car we buy, have a small computer in there as part of the technology. And we don't isolate that budget from the rest of it. So while we may spend $1 billion on the infrastructure in terms of the communication, hard network and the back room to support it, there are other things being done.
In addition, Minister Chang says planning and land acquisition for a divisional and area headquarters in St. Catherine will be completed this year, but construction could be delayed due to the impact of COVID-19. He says government is also looking at the construction of a new correctional facility.
We also need more space, modern space to put all our prisoners, even those who are low risk. And the Chancellor will build a prison that has facilities for both. So we want to work out those numbers before we come to it. What I expect, we'll have somewhere which can comfortably host well over 1,000, more like 2,000 individuals.
Free legal services were provided to residents in St. Mary, St. Elizabeth and St. Catherine this week as the Legal Aid Mobile Justice Unit visited the parishes. Persons with criminal matters or who were detained under the Emergency Powers State of Emergency Act were allowed to submit applications for assistance through an assigned attorney. Individuals who had been charged for breaches of the Disaster Risk Management Act were also able to get assistance. Head of the Legal Aid Council, Hugh Faulkner, says the LAC is working to provide an island-wide schedule. He's urging persons to have supporting documents and comply with the established safety protocols when the units visit their areas. Approximately 2,000 drip irrigation systems will be distributed to small farmers across the island. Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries Audley Shaw made the announcement recently. He said the systems would provide farmers with access to irrigation for planting and ensure continued agricultural growth despite the shift in rainfall pattern due to climate change.
There's a saying that in every crisis there's an opportunity. In every crisis there's a seed of greater benefit. Find the seed, sow the seed, and watch us extricate ourselves, not just extricate ourselves from crisis, but go on to build and to create prosperity.
The minister was speaking while on a tour of Gary Colton's farm at the Spring Plain Agri Park in Clarendon. The farm supplies 10,000 pounds of produce weekly to Grace Kennedy Foods. And finally, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced an official period of mourning and official funeral for the late Minister of Labour and Social Security, Shaheen Robinson. Cabinet has approved a period of mourning from Wednesday, June 10 to Tuesday, June 16. Details on the official funeral will be provided later. During the period of mourning, activities will include a public viewing of the closed casket, which began this week in St. Anne. There is also a viewing set for Tuesday, June 16 at the Jamaica Labour Party headquarters on Belmont Road from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Condolence books will open at Gordon House for members of the House of Representatives and the Senate. They are also being opened at the Office of the Prime Minister for cabinet members and public officials, as well as at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security for ministry staff and the general public. Meanwhile, members of Parliament attended a special sitting of the House of Representatives on Wednesday, June 10, where they paid tribute to the late cabinet minister.
The country's use of the Jamaica Eye network of surveillance cameras in public spaces is to be intensified as the Ministry of National Security continues its strategies to curb crime. Watch this for more as we zoom in on the efforts being made to secure the rock.
The police car remains one of the most important assets in the maintenance of public safety in our society. This fleet represents the continued thrust to modernize our police force. These vehicles are modified in a way that takes into account our terrain, our circumstances, and the requirements of policing in Jamaica. Along with other technology, we have been able to be more responsive to the needs of the public, which has supported us in taking on the new tasks and roles associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, even as we remain committed to our normal policing duties. These vehicles are equipped with tracking systems that will allow for greater visibility of the deployment of these assets, as well as greater accountability and fleet management. The systems will also make our officers more efficient on the job. Our patrol vehicle is a visible deterrent to criminals and a welcome symbol of protection and reassurance to citizens. We should never be challenged by immobility in responding to citizens' needs. And this is a timely contribution as we increase our presence to reassure the nation. These vehicles will significantly advance the constabulary's modernization and transformation agenda.
There are 33 new bikes to come as well, because the bikes are a critical part of what we do, but all that reflects a continuing commitment to ensure our security forces is effectively equipped, efficiently positioned to deal with the kind of crime we have in modern Jamaica. This government is committed to providing an effective security apparatus for the country, and this is symbolic of what we want to do. And during the course of 2019-2020, we in fact acquired some 367 new vehicles at a cost of near $2 billion. That was the commitment of this government to continue with the development of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. In addition to the mobility, we have a whole new formation devoted to technology, which is important, as I said, in going forward, because without modern technology, we cannot function. Between the technology formation and our mobility, we are looking at improving the efficiency of the police force. And we have said, beside response time, there are other things happening. And I'm confident that as we proceed over this year and into the next, we maintain our commitment to giving the police force the resources they require and begin the process of expanding the numbers as we expand our training facility. The country can take comfort. We will overcome the disease of crime as well as the disease of COVID-19. This is the first signing of an agreement MOU with a private sector grouping to extend our surveillance activity across the island at critical business activity.
The JGRA commends the Ministry of National Security and the Jamaica I team on this initiative to make Jamaica a safer country. We as an organization are ready to implement this program with our members and encourage the entire industry to get on board with this initiative.
It is noticeable that in the last year in particular, we have seen significant increase in events targeting air business activity, which operates with a heavy cash load on a normal basis. So gas stations, supermarkets in rural Jamaica, and money transfer stations are prime targets for criminals who are focused on getting ready cash. In order to ensure we have significant reduction of this kind of activity crime, we have to identify, apprehend, and prosecute the criminals involved. That is the surest way of ensuring we can stop any criminal activity. And this means ensuring that we have enough eyes to identify the individuals. In addition to the need for first-person affidavits, we have developed the Jamaica program, which is extending our capacity to survey section of the island on a much more extensive basis. The entire system, the core of the system, is now in place, and we are now looking at expanding and developing partnerships with several of our private sector business groupings.
We further encourage other private sector entities to come forward and engage the Jamaica I with the aim of working together to reap the benefits of a lower crime rate in Jamaica. And we see this partnership as the next logical step to ensure that we support the country's fight against criminal elements.
If we all pull together, I can assure the business owners that the police can provide the kind of security blanket required, but it needs full cooperation at all times by all involved. So again, let me commend the Jamaica Gasoline Retailers Association for initiating this event, And we look forward to expanding this to other challenge areas throughout Jamaica.
The power of music should not be underestimated. This universal language stimulates the minds and the souls of all peoples of the world and is a tool for mobilizing change, cultivating peace, and inspiring other uplifting qualities in people. In our next feature, we'll explore its use in developing all that, including the talents of our youth.
The Fluid Jamaica project began in 2015 with the aim of empowering women and girls and other vulnerable groups dealing with human trafficking, domestic and intimate partner violence, among other issues, through various social and economic intervention programs.
The project had 7 activities to deepen our understanding of tolerance. A very significant part of our project was activity 3, creating the space for change and transformation through music and culture.
The interventions implemented under Activity 3 included St. James Gender-Based Violence Music Initiative, including Drums for Life, Masters in Residence Global Competitiveness Training Program, Girls Using Ubuntu Respect and Love for Entrepreneurial Success Girls, Songwriting Competition, Downtown Music Theatre Summer Camp, and Women Healing in Music. The drum has been the heartbeat of traditional African societies. It was used as the instrument to celebrate various aspects of life. Through Fluid Jamaica, the drum became a medium of transformation for the youths engaged in the St. James Gender-Based Violence Music Initiative.
The project involves the teaching of hand drumming by the Trelawney Maroons to students in selected communities in and around Montego Bay. We also included teaching of traditional and popular dance and also spoken word as aspects of the Drums for Life program to make it a little bit more inclusive. Throughout the 12 weeks, we ensured that the students understood that they were able to consider a career from playing drums.
Progress, Mr. Me no time to look back. My education is key. From poverty, it's a go set me free. Time for waste, no, me not have that.
It has helped me being more focused in my schoolwork and being particular with my friends.
Master drummers also engaged the participants through mentorship.
It kind of saved me out of trouble, and all my teenage, tender age was all about focusing on music. I was so occupied, I didn't have time to get involved in anything else. My whole, every day I get up, what else new, what song we'll learn today. So it was a drive that kept me occupied, and so I never get involved in anything else other than music and dreaming big,
The practice of mentorship also filtered into the Masters in Residence MIR Global Competitiveness Training Program. The intervention also adopted the coaching and entrepreneurship strategies of Jamaica's successful track and field enterprise. The MIR program became a creative hub for songwriters, performers, technicians, and managers.
We wanted to present an option, a blueprint that would set to young producers and young artists and things. You don't necessarily have to go that way. We have massage a template into place that we can set to people. Here is a way to train performers. Here is a way to train songwriters. Here are some things that we can introduce people to who are interested in management.
That template produced a class with over 40 graduates, equipped with the skills to share the Jamaican creative experience on the international stage.
It is much more than talent. That is only half of it, and that is exactly what the program brought to light. And it helps me to better myself as a performer, as a songwriter. I got exposed to the knowledge of engineering and marketing as well, so I can market myself as an artist.
The female entrepreneurs in the MIR program, through the creation of Girls in Music, responded to the challenge as to how to enable women in the music industry.
The overarching objective of Girls is to assist and empower female entrepreneurs in various industries and disciplines to achieve their goals by providing funding, mentorship, educational and entrepreneurial services, as well as other related activities. We have witnessed the ideas of various members come to fruition. These include 2 successful plays, Living Dangerously and Forbidden Fruit, the theme song for the Tambourine Army's march against abuse of both women and men, with the deeply impactful and sobering anthem, Now Make Them Win. You are a part of the unveiling of an all-female-led album, Big Woman Things.
We need to talk about this brewing storm. Them things that me so concerned. Me I tell you but you still not learn.
Songwriters and lyricists were also provided with a creative space to speak of universal concerns through the songwriting competition. A total of 183 entries were submitted at the close of the 2017 staging. Contestants were required to compose lyrics to a partially completed song entitled You Deserve to Be Loved.
Their advice was to talk about it from the pastor perspective rather than, say you see him beat her, I just say, as a pastor, I would encourage you. I should encourage you to stay, because the first rule of a pastor is never to tell a husband and wife to separate. My mother tell me that early, no matter what. But I just decided to say right away that not going to make no sense. I should encourage you to stay, but dear sister, I can't encourage you to do that today. Safety has to be a first priority. Don't tell me say him love me because him beat me because him love me. Because love don't beat or easily get angry. Love is patient, love is kind, as the Bible will remind. Love's supposed to bless you, not disrespect you.
The philosophical underpinning of the entire project was our embrace of the South African concept of Ubuntu. I am because you are because I am. And that became an important theme in the project that we not only shaped in song and music, but we delivered in much of the interventions that we've had. We wanted to empower Jamaicans to recognize that we have a responsibility for Jamaica. Jamaica belongs to all of it. It's free with Jamaica, and that means we have a responsibility to ensure that Jamaica can grow and prosper, and we can achieve the visions that we've created for ourselves in Vision 2030.
Find a way, you are a diamond, so I am because you are. So I am because you are. I am because you are. Ubuntu, I am because you are. I am because you are.
You've asked for it, and now it's here. The Jamaica Information Service has updated its mobile app. It's easier to navigate, loads even faster than before, talking about top speed, operates seamlessly across platforms, and we're a creative bunch, so it's much easier on the eyes. Now you have quick and easy access to news stories, television and radio features, and a variety of photos right at your fingertips. And you'll get push notifications when new content is uploaded. Download the app on your Apple and Android devices now and get news you can use. Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica on the go.
Tourism is the country's largest earner of foreign exchange, and so government has devised a strategy to counter the crippling effects of the COVID-19 pandemic so as to have that revenue stream flowing. As would be expected, the reopening of the industry comes with stringent health and safety protocols that are being put in place to ensure a COVID-resilient destination. Learn more in our next feature.
The tourism industry is Jamaica's bread and butter. It is responsible for 9.5% of GDP, contributes 50% of the foreign exchange earnings of the economy, and generates 354,000 jobs, direct, indirect, and induced. It is within this context that we are anxious to revive tourism, which has been severely crippled by the pandemic. The figure I mentioned of 354,000 workers is only half of the story because they have dependents. And when we consider it all, it's a substantial portion of the nation that is awaiting the reopening of this industry. The Ministry of Tourism has calculated the economic fallout. The estimated loss of direct tourism earnings to the government due to COVID-19 for April 20 to March 21 is estimated at 38.4 billion Jamaican dollars. The estimated overall loss to the economy from visitor expenditure from stopover arrival is expected to be some 107.6 billion Jamaican dollars. You can see, therefore, that the phased reopening of our border to international travelers on June 15 is not just about tourism. It is a matter of economic life or death. I am mindful of the public sentiments that we are moving too fast and that this will pose a health risk for the Jamaican people. I want to assure you that the reopening will be carried out safely and in a way that protects our frontline tourism workers, Jamaican citizens, and our visitors. The fundamental elements of the tourism protocols relate to sanitation, face mask and personal protective equipment, physical distancing, clear communication and messaging, digital enablement, real-time health monitoring and reporting, rapid response, and training. As part of our wider work to safeguard the well-being of our tourism workers, when the sector opens, my ministry recently donated 10,000 masks to frontline industry workers. Jamaica can also see how the properties are reconfiguring to enable physical distancing to be realized. And just to give you a picture, we went into the restaurants and we see where the density situation has been significantly reduced. There are no more than 3 people to a normal 4-seating arrangement, and the emphasis is more on 2 seats per sitting. We look at the beaches, and it's an amazing job that is being done to create again the distancing. And I think that perhaps is an easier thing to do because the beaches tend to be a little extended in the hotel areas. We were so impressed too with the type of arrangements that are being made to protect the workers and the PPEs that have already been bought by some. You should see the mask as well as plastic screenings that the workers are being given to wear, the uniform that they have on, the gloves that they're wearing, and then to see the equipment for sterilizing and sanitizing the areas. We will continue to infuse our warmth and culture in everything we do to remind the world that this is the #1 place to be.
It's at this juncture that we end today's journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another informative edition. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website, jis.gov.jm, or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Theodore Henry, urging you to stay COVID-free.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.